Please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're gonna mix things up here just a little bit. When I was at Cardinal Mooney High School, we had a priest, Father Tim O'Neill, who was also at St. Pat's in Hubbard. And he would start every classroom day by doing something where he'd say, let's just sit here and just be. Just relax, inhale, exhale, say a prayer, think about maybe a loved one that's deceased or moved on, or think about where you are today in today's world, where you're going. Try to make today a better day. So let's all just do that for just a second. Just relax, inhale, exhale, and just be for just a moment and honor Father Tim O'Neill. Thank you. Okay, the next public workshop will be Tuesday, January 30th at 10:30 a.m. The next regular meeting will be Wednesday, January 31st at 10:30 a.m. Both of those will be in this meeting room. And Madam Clerk.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Here.
Ms. Frenchco.
Before we call the roll, as you made a comment, an announcement kind of thing that wasn't on the agenda, I wanted to give this to the Board of Commissioners and make a quick statement.
Can we do that at the end during discussion?
No, actually, because it will inform hopefully the way the meetings are conducted. This is the opinion of the federal court, and I
have a copy.
do you have a copy? I don't believe that you read this.
I read that. I don't need a copy of it. And I don't believe that that's something that's part of commissioner business.
What I'm-
That's something outside the court. If you want to do your own press release,
No.
I believe your attorney's present. He can probably tell you the same thing. This has nothing to do with county commissioner business in this board 2024 Trumbull County Board of Commissioners. During the discussion time, Commissioner,
Yeah.
you can have all the time in the world to express whatever you want to express during the discussion, but that's not part of the agenda. That's not something to address at this time.
What's your comment right now? So I expect, and this is what I want to explain. I won based on viewpoint discrimination, whether or not I was arrested, that was a separate Fourth Amendment. The First Amendment means that you, as the board president, cannot
You demanded-
cannot unequally impose rules upon me that you don't impose on Mr. Cantala Mesa.
I
So what-
impose the rules fairly for everybody.
You,
I don't hear him
there
speaking
has-
up and going out of order.
There has never been a moment in time that you've said, implemented certain rules about nipping that don't exist in the Roberts rules.
Oh, it does.
Or that you've shut anyone down in a meeting. So what I'm saying is that I recommend strongly, in order to prevent the county from future liability because of your conduct, that you read this and you let it inform the way you conduct these meetings. Thank you.
This is an opinion. It's not been ruled by a jury of the court. It's not a Supreme Court decision, as you stated on
Okay.
Facebook and other places. It's a federal judge's opinion,
Right.
and it has no place in this room here right now.
Federal
It has
judge's-
nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with this
I
board.
think you don't
This is from
understand.
2022.
A federal judge's opinion, when they make a decision summarily without a jury, means that they have ruled on it as a matter
Right,
of
and there's
law.
nothing in there that applies to what
It
we're doing
does-
here
it-
right now.
It does, because I don't want the board to get sued again because of your conduct.
Here's what we should do is just stick to the agenda and
Yeah,
just
stick to the
go
agenda
through
during
go through every
discussion.
one of
You
these
can have all the
items and
time
then
you
move
want.
on.
You can have all the time to express whatever you want during the proper time of Robert's Rules of Order.
An hour reading that with legal counsel so that you don't end up down the same path of personal liability as the rest of the people.
I'm going to take the roll again. Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Here.
Ms. Frenchco.
Here.
Mr. Malloy.
Here.
Item number 1 is to dispense with reading the minutes of the regular meeting dated January 18th, 2024, and accept and approve the video recordings of the January 18th, 2024 regular meeting as the official meeting minutes.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Because the audio skipped in the workshop and part of the meeting was muted, we should have proper written ones, so my vote is no.
Item number 2 is to approve the bills.
Motion to approve. Second that.
I'd like to thank the chief auditor, Christy and Stephanie, and our new auditor, Martha Yoder, for making efforts to ensure and improve our compliance.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 3 is to adopt a resolution approving the submitted list labeled as then and now, October, November, and December 2023, greater than $100 of purchase orders to the various vendors as then and now purchase orders in compliance with ORC 5705.41D.
Make a motion to approve. Second that motion.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 4 is to concur with the Trumbull County Engineer to grant the right-of-way permit requested by the company listed, and that company is ASW Pipeline LLC.
Motion to approve. Second.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 5 is to concur with the county engineer to grant the quarterly operator fleet permit to travel upon load posted Trumbull County roadways requested by the company listed, and that is North Eagle LLC.
Motion to approve. Second that.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 6 is to concur with the county engineer to grant the special hauling permit to haul steel coils, and that is for J-Road Transportation.
Make a motion to approve. Second that.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 7 is to concur with the county engineer to grant the special annual supplier fleet permit requested by the company listed, Troy Mill Wood Products.
Motion to approve. Second that.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 8 is to approve the detailed water drawings for the State Road Water Regionalization Project, Champion and Southington Townships, Trumbull County Combined Water District, known as County Project Number 2-W-23.
Make a motion to approve. Second that.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes. And I'd like to make a motion to table agenda number 9.
On what grounds, Commissioner?
Is that a second for discussion?
Yes.
I read my packet, and this has been going on since I started as commissioner. Matt Blair, the attorney for the sanitary engineer, has said that he does not want me involved or to review contracts, and that he does all that. We are the Board of Commissioners, we're the executives. I would appreciate an opportunity to review this and gain feedback from the community. This affects their rates. In the packet that I received, I saw a new contract. However, it didn't show any of the changes underscored or redlined. In the emails with the prosecutor's office, this is a quote from Gary Newbrow, the revised language is shown in red. I have no idea what the revisions are. And it also suggests in the legal opinion, which we were aware of last year because it came up at an annexation hearing, that, let me find that. It actually says, I recommend, and this has been brought up before, and no one will take action on this. It says, I recommend that the terms be reviewed by legal counsel that has sole focus of his or her practice on annexation. And we should be taking that advice, especially as contentious as the annexation issues have been in Trumbull County. I understand that there's an effort to push this through quickly, clearly, because we didn't receive it until after the deadline that it should have been on the agenda. So that's my reason for wanting to table it.
But the prosecutor's office did review it, correct?
The prosecutor's office reviewed it and they said, and I quote, "The revised language is shown in red. However, the Board of Commissioners don't know what the revisions are." And it also says that there should be a recommendation that someone with annexation specialization review this. And I have not seen any accompanying legal opinion related to an annexation attorney. So I believe that the due diligence should have been on Matt Blair and on the sanitary engineers department to make sure that he obtained counsel that specializes in something that relates to annexation.
Gary, do you want to speak to that at all?
So let me get this straight, just so that I can be clear, because I want to make sure that our board is consistent in order to prevent us from future liability. Is any one commissioner permitted to ask anyone during the meeting to come up and speak? Just for clarity.
Well, there's an issue that we're going
Have a
over here.
discussion.
I think that,
I-
he's the department
I'm
head.
just asking because take note that this will be the standard moving forward. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, commissioners, on this water agreement, the language was updated, in various places throughout. Some of the, some typographical and grammatical errors that were corrected. We changed, the rate structure, but for the most part, the agreement is the same as we've had for over over 50 years on these. We made necessary updates to it. As far as the annexation issue, the language of this contract basically follows the same language that you'll find in ORC 6103 regarding, in the event that any area of our system is annexed by the city of Niles, that they will attain ownership of that line, but they have to pay us the prorated share of whatever debt is on that line. And that's the same language that they have in the ORC. It's the same language reflected in here. Assistant Attorney Danzo, he gave his legal opinion concerning this agreement. And he basically said, well, as far as the annexation goes, basically, I recommend the terms of the same be reviewed by legal counsel that has sole focus of his or her practice in annexation. As you may be aware, the statutory responsibility for utility services, facilities changes depending on the type of annexation that is being pursued. Otherwise, as long as you and the board are satisfied with the terms of the agreement, I have no legal objection to the agreement as drafted. So he has no legal objection to it as drafted, but he says it wouldn't hurt you to go ahead and get an annexation lawyer to do this. We just don't feel that expense is necessary since it just reflects the, the same annexation rulings that they have within the ORC for water systems.
Who's we, you and Matt?
Yes.
I have a question. You said that there were necessary updates. What are the necessary updates? Because I don't have a copy of that.
It may have been, I'd have to go look and review that. Believe me, this has been reviewed again by our office, and we are very comfortable with what is in the agreement.
Okay, so you discussed necessary updates. You discussed basically following the ORC, and I don't have anything to show what those updates are, and you're bringing before us something to, in essence, rubber stamp because we have not reviewed it with the changes or the red lines. And because, again, it was recommended that we obtain counsel whose sole practice is annexation, I think that that's something that we should be doing, and I've said that before. Of course, Prosecutor Danzo may have, I think it was him, approved it, but he approved it to form and correctness. He didn't approve it as to how we should vote on it in an administrative fashion to prevent future concerns with annexation. And I think that could be addressed herein. But because you want to continue and just follow Matt Blair's guidance as opposed to getting other counsel that was recommended by the prosecutor's office, I think that is not the best move for Trumbull County.
Matt Blair did make the comment, he doesn't even know what an annexation lawyer would be. That there is no, he doesn't know of any lawyers that, specialize just in annexation, as suggested by
If he
Assistant
said
Prosecutor
that,
Danzo.
if you're speaking for him and saying that, that's the most foolish statement that I think that he could have said. There are a lot of experience. I mean, we've had contested annexations in the county with people who specialize in annexation repeatedly. I've already said that there are also attorneys that CCAO can recommend, and I absolutely think that the best is an office in Cleveland where they have an attorney who is also APA certified, which means that they deal in land use and economic development tools and planning and JUDs and TIFs and annexations and that type of thing. There are attorneys there, and for him to say something like that is about foolish. And I'm not a fan of his, but I really don't know that he would say that to you. Did he really
Well,
say that?
That's what
Okay.
he mentioned to me.
Okay.
The other thing I can say is that we've have quite a few service area agreements with the municipalities throughout the county for water and sewer. As your sanitary engineer, I'm confident that this agreement is sound, that we basically use the same tenets regarding annexation as it's in the revised code. So I recommend approval of this agreement.
Well, I guess since they're there and we're doing that, does anyone from Howland have any objection to this? Administrator St. George, do you have any objection to this? Have you read the agreement, or have you, who? Okay.
Yeah, again, that's the concern, is this just came before us after the deadline without the Board of Commissioners even receiving a copy of what the changes were. And I believe that those parties, that's why I want an opportunity to table this so that I can personally review things and not just take the advice of a
Well,
department head, and then also get the input from the communities that it affects.
and I would say we had a regularly scheduled public workshop yesterday that you could have attended. Gary was there in attendance. He had the contract with him. He was available for any questions that could have been answered yesterday. You could have had your questions answered. You could have reviewed it. You could have called anybody you wanted to, and then you could have been prepared to vote today on this if you had questions, instead of kicking it down the road for at least another week.
No, actually, I reviewed the contract. I have everything that you were given. I am able to make my opinions and decisions based on independent thought without consulting Matt Blair and the director there. And this has been something that's come up time and time again that we need to have, and we've been advised. This is not the first time our prosecutor's office has advised us to obtain legal counsel that specializes in annexation on this. This was said, I believe it was last summer, and yet that department still does what they want without consulting with the Board of Commissioners until they try to jam a how many year contract is this?
10.
A 10-year contract down our throats that passed the deadline for the meeting.
Bill Danzo, you want to weigh in on any of this? You reviewed it. You have no.
That should have been provided to us. I asked for that before, last time with the Gerard agreement, and was told that Matt Blair instructed Gary Newbrow not to respond to me or give me much information. So I would like a copy of that, maybe from our prosecutor's office, given the fact that our department head doesn't share that. Is that okay?
Did you request it recently from that regarding this contract?
It should be, look, it should be a given that as the Board of Commissioners, we're the executive body, that we are reviewing those things. We shouldn't have to ask for something that we have to vote on. It should be submitted to us. That's in the instructions that Alex put out to all of the department heads. And our new process for submitting agenda items, they have to be on time, which this was not, and they have to have accompanying with them supporting information. And none of the information that we received showed any of the changes. My opinion, I understand you don't have to agree with it, and I respect that.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table to table it. We have a second by Commissioner Cantalasa. Let's take a vote on the motion to table.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Mr. Cantala Mesa.
Yes.
Mr. Malloy.
Yes.
Item number 10 is to amend Journal Volume 156, page 25770. Agenda item number 23 dated June 14th, 2023 for a $750,000 commitment from Senior Levy Fund number 065 for the next 2 years annually, beginning December 1st, 2022 through November 30th, 2024. These funds support countywide senior transportation for both non-grant periods and grant periods, which need local match for Ohio Department of Transportation 5310 grant funds. For the period to fully utilize CY 2023 ODOT 5310 dollars, amendment is necessary to reallocate between populations served to agree to service provided for CY 2023 ODOT 5310 grant countywide transportation and to provide clarification for the Trumbull County Auditor's Office.
A motion to approve?
Second that.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 11 is to amend Journal Volume 156, page 25769, agenda item number 22, dated June 14th, 2023, for a $200,000 commitment from sales tax to fund transportation for the next 2 years annually, beginning December 1st, 2022 through November 30th, 2024. These funds support countywide transportation for Trumbull County disabled residents during both non-grant periods and grant periods, which need local match for Ohio Department of Transportation 5310 grant funds. Amendment is necessary to reallocate between populations served to agree to service provided for CY 2023 ODOT 5310 grant countywide transportation and to provide clarification for the Trumbull County Auditor's Office.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes, and I'll read the next motion.
The clerk could read the
no.
motion.
Well,
The
well-
clerk could read the motion.
Whoa. To approve the agreement for legal services by and between the Trumbull County Prosecutor's Office and the Howland Township Board of Trustees, authorizing the Prosecutor's Office to serve as Law Director for Howland Township for the term of January 24th, today's date, which we would be approving it, through December 31st of 2024. The Prosecutor's Office shall be paid the sum of $42,000 annually for said services, payable by the Howland Township Board of Trustees at $3,500 a month.
Is that modified?
You want to second it? I'll discuss it, please.
That was a second.
Okay,
Was that modified?
Alls I'm doing here is because this is written right now is effective date on January 1st. I don't believe the Board of Commissioners should be signing agreements that are retro dated. So if we sign it effective today, they're not going to lose any money because they're still getting paid on that monthly basis but it will show that we're doing things properly. Does that make sense?
Does that matter? Yeah,
You-
please.
You have to hit the microphone, Bill. Name and title, please.
Sure. I'm Bill Danso, Assistant Prosecutor. We've discussed this. We discussed it a little bit yesterday at the work session. There's two things I want to point out. First of all, like we've talked previously on this Howland agreement, there was the first meeting of the year for the Howland Board of Trustees was, I believe, on January 10th. And one of the reasons that this was done this way is because in this year in particular, there's a new Howland trustee. Frank Dillon was elected and sworn in. This gave him an opportunity to weigh in and approve on a contract that he is going to live with for this year as a trustee. So that is one thing. Like I said before, they have a reorganizational kind of thing that they do, much like the Board of Commissioners does at the beginning of the year. So that's one reason that this was not brought to the board earlier than January 1st this year. Second of all, I think that the issue that I would have with maybe dating it starting today is that it ignores the carryover work that has continued to be done in anticipation of this agreement coming this year as well, that we've continued to help Howland with. The third thing that I think is important to point out is this contract is governed by section 504, 15, I believe it is, of the revised code.
They're
And
required to have a.
that section of the code, just so the board's clear on it, the Board of Trustees may enter into a contract with the prosecuting attorney of the county. The contract itself is essentially between the Board of Trustees of Howland Township and the prosecuting attorney. It says with the consent of the Board of Commissioners. The Board of Commissioners isn't necessarily a party under the plain statutory language. The Board of Commissioners simply is granting its consent. Now, you could withhold your consent too, as we've talked, but your consent is what's being given here, not necessarily to be a party to the contract, because again, you receive your legal services under the statute 30909. You don't fall under these same kind of rules that a township would. So that's the only thing I would offer, just as a, clarification.
So this is different than the other situations where my effort is to be consistent, because on a regular basis here in Trumbull County, we get change orders, amendments, contracts for things that happened in the past. But you're saying that because this is an actual agreement, because of this situation, this is different than those other situations.
That's the way we view it.
Okay.
Essentially, this was discussed last meeting, I thought.
I just.
And so we really can't change your contract with them. We're just consenting it. So if we change it, it's meaningless.
You could withhold your consent. That's what the board could do if
I
you
don't want to do
consent
that.
the terms.
No, nor do I, but I just want the board to be clear that this is a unique situation. And in other situations, we do need to make sure that the change orders and contracts and amendments all come before us before we, in a fashion.
And as he
But I-
explained at the meeting last week, that's not always possible. So.
Right, but I just want to be
That's not
clear that
possible.
Did you say in this specific case that you're, as our prosecutor's office, you're saying in this specific case, it's acceptable?
Yes,
But-
I
but you're
read,
not- but
I
you're
read the
not-
plain language from the
Right,
statute.
But you're not saying that in the other cases, it's permitted.
We're.
There's unique circumstances. Yes.
We're not going to answer generalities.
Thank
So
you.
do you
Thank
withdraw
you.
your motion, Commissioner?
Or we vote on
What
it
I'll
and
do-
vote
what I-
no.
What I will do is make a motion to modify it back to January 1st.
So as read, as written.
Yeah. Just changing the date, yeah, back to January.
I'll make
1st.
a motion to approve
Given-
the agenda item 12 as written.
Second that.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy.
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 13 is to approve the professional services agreement between the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners and Mr. Timothy P. Berghoff. Mr. Berghoff, Health Actuary, will generate the 2023 Self-Insurance Actuary Report for Trumbull County in accordance with Ohio Revised Code Section 9.833, and to authorize Danny Malloy, President of the Board of Commissioners, to execute said agreement. The fee for this service is $1,500.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 14 is to adopt a resolution authorizing expenditure for responding to or mitigating the public health emergency from American Rescue Plan Act funds, Community Family Outreach Complex. And Commissioners, if you would look down a little further, whereas the Trumbull County Combined Health District has determined that the CFOC is located in a region where 40% of the residents rely on federal insurance for healthcare coverage. Number two, the region is considered a food desert. And 17% of the residents are living in poverty. And whereas the health district has determined that the community surrounding the CFOC experiences significant health disparities, and that the members of the community feel most comfortable when healthcare services are provided in a faith-based setting. And whereas based upon these characteristics, the Health District has collaborated with the CFOC for COVID-19 vaccine clinics and flu vaccine clinics. And whereas the Health District has demonstrated that it wishes to continue to work with CFOC to form a healthy equity hub for the purpose of providing healthcare services to local residents, including healthcare classes, screening, medication management, and mental health education and counseling. And whereas a company called AccuDose Pharmacy has indicated that it has used and will continue to use CFOC as a location to provide medication to local residents and education for local residents. And whereas the CFOC has also provided food drives, meal drives, and school supply drives for local residents. And whereas the final rule presumes that residents and nonprofits located in a QCT are presumed harm. And whereas the final rule expressly permits investments in providing healthcare services and facilities for low-income neighborhoods. And whereas the county has determined that CFOC has demonstrated that it has experienced adverse impact from the COVID-19 health emergency and its surrounding community has been adversely impacted by the pandemic, and the expenditures requested are reasonable responsive to the harm, and the county therefore authorizes a one-time grant to CFOC in the amount of $178,030.70 for purposes of enabling CFOC to partner with the Trumbull County Combined Health District to become a health equity hub and to continue providing services to community residents consistent with the attached grant agreement.
Motion to approve. Second that.
Mr.
just
Cantala Mesa.
Whoa.
Go ahead.
This is using ARPA funds for, a faith-based organization, in my opinion. They've been making efforts to have their parking lot repaired for a number of years, and now they've submitted an application, solicited the input and help from our health department in order to try to justify basically improving a private property that's actually used at times for rentals and things like that. I believe that if it was truly a purpose to deliver services to underserved communities, what they would have done is what I suggested, which is what EMA did, was getting a mobile outreach unit. So if the health department truly wanted to reach out, they could have spent this money in another fashion instead of just trying to justify the use for this structure, for this building. Also, if it was truly a need identified by the health department would have sought other locations. But to me, it appears as if this was an afterthought in order to obtain justification for this project to get it ARPA approved. And I just wanted to state that for the record.
Okay, Commissioner, you're entitled to your opinion.
Okay.
They did do COVID shots there, as it says in the grant application. The community there where 17% are living in poverty and 50% are on federal or 40% are on federal insurance of some type. This is the hot zone. When you look at ailments, disease, poverty in Trumbull County, this is in Warren Township. Bishop Herron is not only a icon and a spokesman for the Black community, but all of Trumbull County as far as what he is doing for his community and what he's doing for our community. The people there, they've shown the numbers when we had the presentations from the Board of Health. They showed the huge number of people that obtain COVID shots there, huge number of people there that get influenza shots there. And it is a place that people feel safe to come to. A lot of people don't trust government. A lot of people don't like government. They feel it's a safe environment to go to their church and get the treatment, to reach out with some of their ailments, and to trust their faith-based pastor and ministers that they have there. So this was something that was recommended to us by the health department commissioner and by the health department, which is already in that facility. They've already been there since COVID, and they're saying this is the place that people want to come. This is a place that's convenient for people without transportation. This is a place that will work with this grant money to serve the most number of people in the worst health areas of the county. And for $180,000, yeah, the parking lot is part of it, but it's a small part of what this funds are going towards. And they have had drive-through vaccinations there. They do have people that come there on a daily basis to get health treatment. The health department's there at least once a week. They have an office set up there for the people to go to, which is a hub outside of Cortland where people can go to that live outside of the city of Warren.
They probably shouldn't have moved from the city of Warren. That was an expensive and costly decision, and they could have been right downtown and.
They don't serve people in the city of Warren, so why would they be downtown when they serve nobody in the city of Warren? Warren has their own health department.
That's incorrect. I believe you need to look at the services as they
I have.
provide. And
I was at their board
Okay.
meeting when they went over the
one at a
statistics.
time, please be respectful. If they were going to be spending at a church and there is an effort to seek a faith-based organization, then they should have opened it up and looked for other faith-based organizations as well in the area. Secondly, the population, I believe, I would like to see, and in other cases where we've spent ARPA money, we needed to make sure that it was benefiting the entire township, and no one has presented numbers with the number of township residents overall who have been receiving services there. So for a number of reasons, I just disagree with this.
Well, when there was a committee formed, it was over 2 years ago to study health inequities across the county. One of the things they came up with was partnering with the faith-based community because they did their research, and that's available to you if you'd like to look at it too. There was an extensive study done by a lot of different stakeholders in Trumbull County, and it highlights exactly what they're trying to do here. I
Right.
suggest you look at it, honestly, seriously.
So if you're going to be reaching out to faith-based organizations, again, back to my original suggestion, which I made a year ago, or I can't remember when I made it. It was that they do a mobile outreach. So then they could partner with all of the faith-based organizations across the county and not just be at one location.
Did,
So
any-
that was
did
the-
anybody
enough.
submit an ARPA grant for mobile outreach?
No,
If they didn't submit it, we couldn't even consider it. So
The-
that's your opinion.
The health.
Fair enough,
department-
we
the
agree to
appar- the- yeah,
disagree,
the-
that's
the
fine.
Health department
Move on.
could have done that, but instead an entity did this on their own.
The health
because
department
they
has their
wanted-
own
because they
board,
had
and
a
their
need
own
for a
board could
parking
have made
lot,
those
because they did-
recommendations.
Because they had a need for a parking lot. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so for item number 14, the resolution for Community Family Outreach Complex, Mr. Cantala Mesa.
Yes,
Mr. Malloy,
Absolutely, yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
For the stated reasons before, no.
Item number 15 goes along with item number 14 to enter into an agreement between the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners and the Community Family Outreach Complex, CFOC, as approved by ARPA Legal Counsel for CFOC, a 501c nonprofit located in a QCT, to provide funds required for the services and programs of a health equity hub providing healthcare services, screening, and counseling in partnership with TCC, HD, and TMHA, as well as food drives and other community service drives as fully described in Exhibit A. And the Board of Trumbull County Commissioners allocates a sum of $178,030.70.
motion to approve?
Second?
Cantala Mesa,
Yes,
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Frenchco.
No.
Item number 16 is to remove from table. Item number 11, Journal Volume 157, page 26202, Commissioners' Meeting Agenda under the date of January 10th, 2024, to advertise for bids for the furnishing of all labor, material, and equipment necessary for the Trumbull County Fairgrounds Commercial Building Restroom Upgrade Project in accordance with project specifications.
Motion removed from table?
I'll second it, but discussion. I know that there was some issue as to our pending project labor agreements and everything that needs to go into our procurement policy. Is that-
I was able to get a presentation yesterday from Auditor Yoder. Auditor, can you please
Okay,
explain
sure, please, thank you.
what they missed?
Martha Yoder, Trumbull County Auditor. What I addressed as part of this was just the need for whether the resolution, the formal resolution from the outside counsel needed to be done prior to bidding, which I understood was the issue,
Okay.
or going out to bid. And that is not necessary. I have that opinion from Attorney Rogers, and I put that in your packet, your ARPA packet yesterday.
Okay.
So it's at this point, as far as the ARPA part of it, it can go out to bid.
Okay.
I have a copy of it if you want to confirm it.
No, that's okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Item number 17 is to advertise for bids for the furnishing of all labor, material, and equipment necessary for the Trumbull County Fairgrounds Commercial Building Restroom Upgrade Project in accordance with project specifications.
Motion to approve?
Second?
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.
Okay, that concludes the regularly scheduled agenda items for today, January 24th. At this time, we'll open it up for discussion. Anything for the good and welfare of Trumbull County?
I would like to make a comment. This relates to the
I just pointed at him first. Let him, go ahead, Mr. Glenn, you want to let her? Go ahead. Go ahead.
two things that I want to bring up right away. One of them is that while we approved this late contract from Howland, I want to suggest and instruct our clerk and our administrators and anyone that needs the Board of Commissioners to sign off on their contracts, that they, if they are late, that they get sent back to the prosecutor's office for an opinion, because he said that he couldn't prove anything except for his right now. They regularly come to us without any type of prosecutor's opinion saying that it's permissible, and I'd like to see that moving forward. And it would be incumbent on our clerk to forward those down and to let everyone know that, hey, this is late, you need to get a opinion on it. That's the one.
And the reason, in reference to that, the reason we didn't vote on it last week, we didn't have copies of the contract. And in my opinion, it was something we needed to review. It was something that we found out during the workshop that that they had a prosecutor there for 45 hours a month, 1 day a week that he was in Howland. And I just asked for the same service from our prosecutor for our Board of Commissioners. We had a gentleman's agreement from Mr. Danzo yesterday. He attended the workshop and said that he will be attending regularly our workshop and or our meetings like he is here today. So that's all I asked for, is if Howland's getting that treatment, we wanted to see what we were getting here, because some things were getting backlogged, backed up. He clarified it did not affect this board's business in any way, that it was a separate thing. He cleared up everything that we needed. He provided the contract. We voted it through today.
That has nothing to do with what I just mentioned. What I just mentioned was all the other agreements that come through on a regular basis from our department heads that include change orders, contract modifications, new contracts, agreements, that they, if they are late, first of all, they should not be late. Every department head, if you have a change order or an amendment, that is a change to the contract, and we have to sign that as the executives. You do not have the authority to approve contracts and change orders, but for the commissioner signing off on that and approving that. That needs to be brought to us in advance. I've been beating this drum for a long time, and I want to make sure that that happens. And now that the prosecutor, Attorney Danzo says that he will look at those on a case by case basis, I don't want him to be inundated with work to try to approve change orders that we could approve if they were sent on time. So I just want to put that out there, that if something comes to the Board of Commissioners, it's untimely, that's retro dated, that it go back for prosecutor's opinion. I don't want to inundate him, but we cannot continue to just approve things that are 9 months late. So, and then the other thing, I don't know if we have a conflict of interest with Attorney Schrader because I don't know if he's even counsel anymore for Vienna or Howland. But if he's not, given the fact that this agreement that we tabled is time sensitive, I would make a motion to have the Board of Commissioners look into obtaining his services after he completes a conflict check.
Who are you talking about?
Schrader,
Who's that?
he specializes in annexation. Because that's the normal.
So you're picking who it is? You want to, is that what you're saying? You're making a motion? That's who they use?
I am suggesting that the board and look into him because he's familiar with Trumbull County, and I think that might be, and the issues that we face with the contentious annexations, that we check with him to see if there's a conflict, and if there's not, then we find out his hourly rate and we go with him in order to comply with the prosecutor's recommendation.
That would be duly noted, but there are other attorneys we've been talking to through the planning commission and upon recommendation with what's coming up with Kimberly Clark property. It's been recommended by Mr. Danzo that we seek outside counsel to deal with that. And we've got some people that I know Nick Coggins is dealing with in the planning commission. There's some attorneys that I've reached out to. We have a bunch of names, and it's something we're going to need to discuss
So
further during a workshop to
that-
see who we recommend we
that-
go with.
that has
That's your recommendation. That's great.
that
It'll be
has to do-
considered.
That has to do with things down the road. This is of an immediate nature because we have a contract to look at. So I would like to do that because of the immediacy. And earlier you just mentioned we have been looking into other attorneys. Who do you mean by we? Because these types of things should be done in public. And if you don't have the names of them to discuss them at a meeting publicly,
We
then
will.
I would strongly suggest that you not violate sunshine.
No,
and-
no, no.
Okay.
We had a workshop and we were tasked with doing that at the workshop to reach out to do that. I have been doing that. I believe Commissioner Cannon-Malace has probably been doing that. You have been doing that. You threw a couple names out here last week. You threw the name of somebody. So nothing has been proposed formally. We're doing the research on who to recommend. We'll discuss at a workshop meeting and then provide a candidate at a regular board meeting before we hire anybody.
Then it sounds like, okay, so I haven't reached out to anyone or talked with anyone since there was the issue with Mercy Health. And if you are individually talking to different attorneys and trying to come to some decision.
No decision.
Hang on, let me explain what a round robin decision is. These are serial type meetings when people are talking to any discussion outside of our public meeting where 2 of the 3 commissioners are seeking to obtain information and engaging in discussions that are leading to a decision that is made in public is absolutely a serial meeting. And I caution the board on doing that.
I think, Commissioner, I think you're getting misunderstood here. So if I wanted to contact an attorney to question him about his expertise or whatever, I can't do that.
I believe that because it's dealing with a future decision and perhaps Commissioner Malloy may talk to that same attorney or someone, I might, but I'm not. That would be considered a serial meeting.
So I can't have any
Let me
contact
explain.
with the
Okay, you
attorney?
wanna do things correctly. In my opinion, and we can ask Prosecutor Danzo if he agrees, we should do maybe a request for qualifications very quickly and reach out to some attorneys who specialize in annexations, planning, that type of thing. If you want to do that.
We
or
haven't
for-
done that in the past.
Well, I
You've
just-
never said to do that in the
Right,
past.
right.
You're actually just saying to hire Schrader right now.
Because of the immediacy, you're talking.
Yeah,
about
Berkey already.
Why
on
don't you
staff.
go off
Berkey has no
RFP for that?
idea what he's doing relative to annexations.
He's
He-
our annexation attorney, and that's critical for
And
you to
that-
just say that.
it's-
We're paying him a lot of money for
and
the
it's-
annexation we just went
You
through.
just said an attorney has no idea
And
what
you,
they're
and you
doing
just
with
said he has no
annexation.
idea. He's our attorney.
He does not specialize in annexation. With all due respect, he's a title attorney that doesn't necessarily.
Somehow
deal
we've
with it
navigated all these
There-
annexations
there-
with him.
Barely, We need to have someone who's an
That's in your opinion.
we need to have someone who's an expert in that field. No disrespect to him, but people have different prowesses and his is not that.
There's disrespect.
Isn't that what you just criticized Matt Blair for saying?
It's just,
No, I'm not going to
okay,
argue with you.
all right,
I believe we-
your suggestion is to is to hire Schrader immediately today, right?
someone reach out to him to find out what his,
Who's someone?
wait, it looks like someone wants to speak. Darlene, can I recognize?
She's gotta
you?
approach the mic if
No.
you're gonna do that.
This is our Howland Township Administrator.
Darlene St. George, Howland Township Administrator. We still retain Al Schrader,
Okay.
so
There's-
clear that up. He's still on retainment.
I didn't know if after, that's why I wanted to do a conflict. Thank you for that.
That's why we shouldn't
Okay.
speak and hire somebody that we know.
Right.
We don't know is already retained.
That's why I said. a
That could have
conflict.
said, that we could have voted on that and then been in, you know.
No, it was to reach out to him. And the thing, and I
I
also.
thought we weren't supposed
wait,
to reach out to them.
Wait, I think you're confused and I'd like to be able to help you to understand a bit better.
Okay, please do.
What I suggested was reaching out to him to identify if there was a conflict check because of the immediacy of this, and we would have been doing it publicly. What I said not to do was to do it privately and individual because it could lead into a serial meeting.
So
Okay,
what-
let
I'm
me
asking-
ask this. I got a question for point of order here.
For
So
point
you
of
said,
order,
I
are you
can't,
a Point of order?
I
What's your
can't-
point?
I can't reach out to somebody and then that somebody or someone reaches out to me and then they reach out to Mauro and they reach out to you individually. You said it's round robin, correct? How could Mauro and I have a public meeting on Tuesday, public meeting, and then you have your private meeting with the same people and they reach out to you in your office in private and that's not round robin? When we do a public meeting and then they meet with you in private, how is that not
It
the
is,
same thing? I
it
don't
is, it's
understand.
the exact same thing.
I don't understand. They come and they lobby us in public at a public meeting, and then they go in your office and lobby you individually, but you weren't part of the public meeting. Is that not round robin?
The point is there has to be common sense throughout all this and practicality. And I think by reaching out to an attorney and asking them about their credentials, about anything like that, without telling any other commissioner, I'm just reaching out and trying to attain information from this attorney. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm sorry.
Okay, then here's what I would recommend. I have a list, I had it back and whenever, I wish. I don't know if the clerk can find this, but there was a meeting and I'd like to ask that she find it where I mentioned maybe 10 attorneys that specialize in an annexation. I reached out to CCA, the County Commissioners Association of Ohio, and I reached out to someone else that I know who does that type of work in Columbus and someone else who does it up in Cleveland. And I comprise a list of those who specialize in land use and annexation and JUDs. And I brought that to the board's attention. I think that we need to just get that list together and review them and do it.
Do we have a copy of that
possibly even-
list?
I brought it to your attention back when you and Frank were on the board and you just mocked me and scoffed at me.
Did you bring the list?
Yes, I did. At the time I did. So I don't,
have the list. I'm sorry.
I read it into the record and I don't know if you're going to be able to find that, but if you can look up
I
a
doubt it.
discussion or if the clerk can, that would be
We were
helpful.
given a few names also that were presented to us by the Port Authority that they deal with on a regular basis, municipality type things. Also, I was given a name by somebody from the Chamber of Commerce, and I was given a name by somebody who specializes in municipalities in Ashtabula County. So I have 3 names that I've obtained so far. I don't know if any of them are available. I don't know what the rates are on any of those things, but those are ones I was planning on presenting at the public meeting next Tuesday.
Why don't we do a quick request for qualifications?
Because that isn't quick. There's no such thing as a quick, that's going to take time.
Well, I think we need to do if we're going to look and consider multiple attorneys, we need to do an RFQ so that we can see what their rates are and everything else. You don't informally call, a
Yeah, this
dozen
is
attorneys.
professional services and we don't have to do an RFQ. We've not done an RFQ in the past and all of a sudden,
I
when it's
know,
time
but-
to do this, you want to do an RFQ. But on the other side of
I-
this, you're saying that you want to
actually-
try to hire Schrader.
That's not true. Because I
brought up a
actually
name,
was
is
the
my
one
point.
who, okay,
I'm
fine, I'm not gonna argue. I've been trying to get.
I'm not
actual-
either.
I've been
It's
trying to,
ridiculous.
I've been trying to get professionals who specialize in that as their area of
And
expertise.
by you saying that, you're
I-
mocking every single other person that we've used and saying that they're not professional, and that's
There
terrible.
was someone that
That's
the
terrible.
board, that's fine. There were, if you don't go to a doctor who specializes in heart surgery to get a brain surgery.
Those are your opinions.
okay.
Those are your opinions.
That's, if you want to go to a,
There's plenty of
Okay.
people that we use for annexations that have done county annexations for years
right,
with no issues.
okay, Mauro,
I'm just telling you,
sure.
you can't just paint with a broad brush like that and say everybody's incompetent.
I didn't say that. I said that there are people who have specialized skills
Okay.
and we should use those who specialize in that if we need it.
Okay, can we move on?
Please.
Fine.
Okay, sir, name and where you're from.
Mr. Glenn, City of Niles. I want a little disclaimer here that the views that I'm about to express are mine, my own, but agreed on by many. Yesterday, Ms. Frenchco posted on some post on her thing that I had made it into the judge's opinion. So I went to look up opinion, and the definition of opinion from Oxford is it's a judgment, a viewpoint, or a statement that is not conclusive rather than fact, which are true statements. I don't understand why anybody takes an opinion seriously because, as it states, it's not a true statement. The only comments I want to make is I was present at the meeting where Ms. Frenchco was arrested. And I truly, as a member of the public, think that it was necessary. Now, she wants to claim it was a conspiracy, but how are people supposed to know what frame of mind and how she will act to be able to conspire against her? Her claim was shot down by the judge for being assaulted. Now, if anybody else in this room would have acted the way she did, we would have been drug out here in handcuffs. She was afforded luxuries by the deputies who arrested her. They excused themselves from the room and handcuffed her in the back. Rather than have an opinion, the judge wrote that it's up to a jury. And as Mr. Beatrice will always tell you, this isn't Russia. This isn't Kim Jong-un. This isn't the rest of the people that, we have a jury here in America that will judge her on the fact, on the statements, not an opinion. Thank you, Mr. Malloy.
Anybody else have any,
Though I don't have to respond, I'd like to respond to that.
your counsel still shaking his head no, but that's up to you. You're offered all the freedom you want to express your opinion.
So this is an opinion.
That is still pending legal matter. I will remind you on behalf of your attorney.
No, this is an opinion where two of the counts were won on summary judgment. So it is an opinion and an order, and contained in the opinion on page 17 is a category caption D4 salsa dancing incident. And sir, you're the salsa dancer. So I don't believe anything that I shared was.
Is that an
incorrect.
opinion, ma'am, or is that a statement?
It is, it says during a public meeting held on an unknown date, one public commenter, apparently the husband of a county employee, got up from a seat, approached Commissioner Frenchco, displays documentation of a vaccination against COVID. In an aggressive manner, he asked, "Did you take a test when you left Mexico?" before he imitated salsa dancing for a moment. So I just want to say, it says that when the commenter concluded his presentation, he held up his middle finger to Commissioner Frenchco and pointed at her saying, you. So I just, you are that person, and there is nothing incorrect about stating that. And I just wanted to let you know that an opinion and an order includes an incident where you were the star. So just reiterating for clarity that it is in the opinion. Thanks.
Well, there's a couple holes in that story, ma'am. You in fact went to Mexico and you in fact ignored the CDC guidelines to quarantine after coming back from a foreign country. Therefore, I was showing you my vaccination record. And the reason that I gave you the middle finger was because of what you're doing right now. I asked you politely to please not film me. You disregarded that. So that's what you get. But by you not following the CDC guidelines, you put this whole building and every single employee in it in danger of COVID because that was at the height of the pandemic. Did you not? Did you disregard the CDC guidelines for coming from a foreign country to quarantine? No answer. I'll take that as a yes.
Anybody else have anything for the good of Trumbull County?
Want to let everyone know that during that period of time, if you fly internationally, you're not allowed on a flight unless you follow a certain protocol. Our personal, our personal medical records are not for public consumption, but there was at that time a requirement in order to fly to follow certain protocols. However, those aren't available for public consumption.
Sean Shook, Trumbull County resident. I'm very concerned for the safety of the Board of Commissioners. As I've stated in the past, I'm concerned for their safety, but even more now and the safety of the people in this building. Ms. Frenchco has not been truthful with the public regarding the day she was arrested. She's leaving out very key details of things that occurred that day. She is deliberately misleading the public to create a false outrage against the Board of Commissioners. Now, it was in the Tribune this morning that massive threats are being launched against this board and people in this building. What's going on here? She's not being truthful. Somebody's going to get hurt. And when that happens, I hope you're held liable.
Somebody's going to get hurt?
Yeah. Yeah, one of your nut jobs is going to show up here and hurt somebody. How come you're not being truthful with the people? Why aren't you telling them what you did that day? You disrupted that meeting. Now, whether or not it constitutes being arrested, I don't know. I'm not a cop. I'm not a judge. But you did disrupt that meeting as you had done many times before and as you've done many times since. You stood right here where I am and you videoed the clerk as she was reading a letter. That clerk was instructed by the majority of the board to do that. You stood here and you interfered with her ability to do her job. You intimidated her, you harassed her, you brought her to tears. But you don't show that on your TikTok, do you? Then you came back and you sat in that chair right there and you continued to go on and on. And when Mr. Fuda did not demand that you apologize, what he said was, if you're not going to apologize, we would like to move on. He said it multiple times, but yet you refused to move on. Then you changed the subject and started talking about job and family services. But you don't show anybody any of that stuff because it doesn't fit your narrative. You talk about defending your rights and the rights of people, yet you drug me into court and tried to step all over my rights because you don't like me coming to these meetings and exercising my First Amendment rights. You're a hypocrite. You're one of the biggest hypocrites I've ever seen. And you ought to be ashamed of your actions. You're so desperate to hold your seat that you're doing all this to get the pressure. And you're online telling people that the people of Trumbull County are brainwashed? That's what you said on your video, that the people of Trumbull County are brainwashed and that it's because of the media. Yeah, you threw the media under the bus. You've been harassing Wilson and Barco, telling them that they should thank you for what you did. I thought you did what you did for you, not them. You're on your Facebook telling the Trumbull County Republican Party that they should thank you, that they should bow to you. You are nuts. March 19th, Trumbull County, vote her out.
Commissioners, first of all, I want to thank you. All the department heads came today to support the prosecutor's opinion for legal services, and we appreciate them coming, and we appreciate you for voting yes. So thank you very much. And also on item number 9, I was wondering if I could get a copy of the contract, being that it's public record, and then
Gary, do you have a copy of that with you here today by chance?
it's okay.
I'd like a copy of it also with the red lines.
Yeah. Right.
Can I get a copy of it redlined? To see what the changes are, and I don't know if the administrator would like to see the changes too, but I would. I would like a red line one, please.
That's fine.
There should be a redlined one.
If he
That
doesn't
you
have it, we're
have.
not gonna make him do additional work to do
Wait.
that for you.
He has it because he sent it to the prosecutor's office. So because it is identified in the emails from the prosecutor's office that it was presented to them, I know that you have it, and I would like to have it today. I want to ask the prosecutor's office, is there a copy of it that underscores the changes? Or highlights them?
I
Yeah.
don't recall on this particular contract whether it was defined. We reviewed a lot of different contracts. I don't recall whether this was one that had a red.
It
If
says,
they have, I don't know. If Mr. Dubrow is gonna send you what he sent to us, it'll reflect exactly that.
this is from you. Wait, I'm sorry. I apologize. This is from Gary Newbrow. The revised language is shown in red, and he sent that to you on January 18th.
Like I said, it may have been red line. I don't recall.
Will you please get a copy of it for me, given our department head was, well, our Board of Commissioners just told him he didn't have to do that. I don't know if he's.
No, I,
What, okay. So you said that,
Fine, just send it to us, Gary. However you have it, send it to us.
I appreciate that, Mauro. Thank you. Well, no, with the red lines.
Just. All right,
Okay.
we're getting off in the weeds here. Just send us the old one and the new one.
What I'm saying is I would like to see the changes, and if they're not identified in the red lines, just as any other contract, like a CBA or something, I'd like to see a summary at the front identifying what the changes are in order for us to vote on it. I believe it's important for the Board of Commissioners to see what the changes are. Please put that together and provide it to us.
One other question I have, next week, do you plan on voting on this next week on the agreement?
I'd rather table it for a while until we get more information, and we have to get an attorney to do the review that specializes in annexation. And so we don't have a lot of
But-
time, but we do need to.
I want everybody to keep in mind, this is a renewal. You know, this is not, we're not reinventing the wheel here.
Right.
There could be some language changes, but as Gary mentioned, they're probably grammatical and date wise and that sort of thing. We're not going to find anything that's really radically changed.
How do you know?
and I don't want to sit on it. I'd like
Just
to,
telling you.
I'd like to
Okay.
review this at the workshop next Tuesday and be ready to vote on a Wednesday to move things forward.
We're not going to have an attorney that quickly. I don't know if you understand this, but we have to vote to approve and hire.
No. We didn't say we're going that far. We're not hiring an attorney to review this contract. Not in my opinion. I'm not voting for
That's
that.
not what we said. It said that in order to take.
You
the-
tabled it
Hang
and
on.
then we'll do research on it.
I'm trying to refresh your memory because just a moment ago you asked if the township administrator had any concerns, and she actually said that she did.
If they don't
But
have
hang on.
concerns by next week, then I don't have concerns. I
Actually-
trust them.
She actually said,
She has someone on staff already that can review it, she
give
said.
me an opportunity to speak without talking over me.
But Commissioner,
Then-
you're doing that
hold
same
on.
thing.
It says, I recommend that the terms of the same be reviewed by legal counsel that has sole focus of his or her practice and annexation. And when you asked a moment ago if the township administrator wanted that to happen, she said yes.
Yes, and she has somebody that's already on retainer with them. If she reviews it by their person this week and she says, Commissioner Malloy, our guy looked at it, it's good, then I'm good with that too. I trust the township administrator. We don't have to do double work. They don't have to review it and we don't have to review it. With this isn't
Hang on.
a summit, a
Please-
peace summit.
Please understand process here. We have, that attorney represents the township of Howland. Our
Yes.
attorney that we would have would represent us as a board.
And we have an attorney
So-
on staff at the sanitary engineer's office and we have a prosecutor here.
We have, hang on.
How much more money
Wait.
do you want to expend of taxpayer dollars?
We have an attorney on staff who actually, per report today, doesn't even understand that there are attorneys who specialize in annexation, which is concerning. So
Again, that's your beliefs, not mine.
Your one opinion.
this is what I read this. We should not just be taking another attorney that's representing another party and using them as it relates to the county. If she makes if the township has recommendations, okay, this is my opinion, my belief. If the township has recommendations, then I would suggest that you send those recommendations to the Board of Commissioners and to the Sanitary Engineers Department. And then after a public discussion, at any rate, we'll have to know what they are, discuss them publicly, and then send them to the prosecutor's office. But in order to even send anything for an opinion to the prosecutor's office, we have to have the majority of the board to do so. So.
And if they
it-
don't have any objections?
I believe it would be beneficial to put it on 2 weeks from today. And- and we'll-
Administrator, if you were ready for next Tuesday, I would be glad to review it next Tuesday at a public workshop and then ask that it be on for next Wednesday to move this forward. This is grandstanding over the smallest nitpicking little thing
This
here.
is a
And there's
renewal.
much
and it has
more pressing
gotten-
issues in the
Th-
county.
This is a renewal
renewal
and
of
it
a
has,
contract.
and it has gotten legal approval from the prosecutor's office. Let's not lose sight of that. That Bill Danzo has approved this. Okay,
Form
we're
correct.
not saying that this is something illegal or nefarious or anything like that. So let's do our due diligence for a week, come back, recircle and regather. I'm sure that the language in there is minimal. There's minimal changes. And if all parties are okay with it, let's proceed. That's all. We're making too much of like a minutia. We have a tendency of doing that as a board and we shouldn't.
We should be reviewing everything that we vote on.
We are,
period.
Commissioner, we're doing it.
And we should be taking our prosecutor's office's advice. If they tell us to get annexation counsel, I believe that that's what we should have been doing.
They said that is up
That
to
you
the
might
board.
want to run it by
That is up
somebody.
to
He's
the
okay
board.
with it.
Opportunity to address some of the annexations within contracts. We need to take a closer look at that. If you don't want to, that's fine. Okay, or if you don't understand.
Yeah, yes, Gary, I think we're missing the issue here.
Gary Newbrow, sanitary engineer. Commissioners, the section in here, there's one paragraph dealing with annexation within this agreement. It basically says ownership of the water lines outside the city limits shall remain the property of Trumbull County. Should any portion hereafter become annexed to the city, the county agrees to release the city to the county rights of control and ownership in that part of the system that was annexed. The county shall sell to the city any infrastructure in compliance with Ohio law, and the price will basically be what I said before, prorated share of the debt on it. That's exactly what the Ohio Revised Code says.
And I don't think we need to hire a high
The water
to
system.
to
Jim,
price
that's
attorney to read
exactly
that.
What the Ohio Revised Code says here, and trying to use this water agreement as something to make a determination as to whether or not an annexation is proper.
We
This
got to
is-
worry
this
about
is-
our water
yeah,
agreement.
This is only in the event of an annexation. That's what this covers, not rules regarding annexation. And I don't think a water agreement should have anything to do with the rules of annexation. If a property annexes or not, that should have no determination as to what happens if it is annexed. Yes, the city gets that portion of the water line in there. I mean, that's what the Ohio Revised Code tells us too.
I'd like to recognize, her again, 'cause it appeared as if she had a comment, and it might even be, it might be beneficial if you would explain what you explained at the add, so that there's maybe they can obtain from understanding of what your concern, the possibilities to.
I think there's a possibility that language could be inserted that will help the annexation. So that's all I'm looking for. I'm looking for some advice from our attorney as to whether or not we can insert any language that would help with annexation. Yet to prevent it. So
And then we would have to go back to Niles to see if they agree too, because we've already negotiated with Niles, correct?
Commissioner, I can just tell you that there's never been any annexation, something like that in any of our agreements.
right, I agree.
any of-
I agree.
Anywhere, and I just don't see why they would want to entertain that. I mean, this is not the document
Because of
regarding these issues.
an agreement that they have in place that says that it into utilities.
Right.
Have to annex.
Well, we're just going by reflecting what's in.
So,
Ohio Revised Code.
I don't want to argue at all here. I just would like a chance for our attorney to insert.
Sure. And we
And
granted that
let-
opportunity. And as soon as you get it done, please let us know.
Thank you for looking into that on behalf of the townships. Basically, that's what I was hoping that would happen, that we can have an opportunity to make the contentiousness in the future.
Anybody else have anything for the good of Trumbull County? Okay, reluctantly, we will go to the phone lines now. And if you are on the phone, and you have an opinion, please state your name and where you're from. And hit *6 to unmute yourself and be polite.
Hello? Hello?
Go ahead. Name
You
and
know
where you're
what?
from.
Be polite. Be polite. Really, Malloy? Who the hell does Frenchco think she is? And I hope her attorney hears it.
We need
No,
your name
hold
and where
on.
you're from before we can accept this
Darling
comment,
Buddha
please.
Niles. She puts down Glenn because of the salsa. She accused my husband of being in the mafia. That's defamation of character. But she's allowed to say whatever the hell she wants, and nobody else is. Bullshit. We have rights too. She needs to get that through her flipping head. And I hope I cannot wait for March, because she's history. Thank you.
Okay, next caller, hit *6. Is there anybody else there, Tim? Okay. Go ahead.
Hello,
Yes, name and where you're from, please.
Carl Clemens. How's everybody doing today on the Jerry Springer Show, Trumbull County edition? I just wanted to say, I don't know when it's going to happen, and I want this for all the taxpayers, voters, everybody in Trumbull County. When in the hell are we going to put down personal and small little bickering problems and work on the good thing? When are we going to start doing it right? And it is going to take every one of us, every single one of us in the county, every single buddy that has a side and a soap opera character that they are enjoying. We just got to do it right and working together. Nobody on that board is the boss. Collectively, you guys are the boss. But you guys are the boss of the people and overseeing it for the people. Please, guys, let's just take a good look in the mirror and see how much you are trying to make this situation better, because I would really like to see that. And I don't see that good, but I can sure feel that it's not that much better. Thanks a lot.
We have another one, Tim? *6, go ahead and unmute yourself. That's it.
Make a
Okay, no
motion,
more calls. Anybody else have anything for the good?
motion to adjourn?
Second that.
Mr. Cantala Mesa,
Yes.
Mr. Malloy,
Yes.
Ms. Frenchco.
Yes.